Hi, so to begin with, if I were to lead Thrive, I would change 4 key areas within the project. The first would be to only focus on one component, being the peer-led support group, meaning that I would remove both the mobile app and the training of the breast cancer care nurses. So my rationale behind this would be that it would create a more simplified program, which I believe is more achievable while still meeting the needs of the community, which was a lack of support post-discharge for breast cancer survivors. The second change would be that the pilot would run for 1 year as opposed to 3, which for me, I just felt it was more realistic for both Thrive as a project and for the funders in regards to our budgeting would then obviously be a lot more lower. The third change would be that the funding request would change from an external request to an internal request through We Are the McGrath Foundation requesting money through the McGrath Foundation as opposed to the WA Department of Health. And my rationale for this is that it means that we can now access our own breast cancer care nurses who already have a strong understanding of life post breast cancer and already have that involvement with a group of breast cancer survivors within their own community. And the fourth change would be that I would develop a much stronger and clearer set of values and goals for Thrive. This would provide overall a much more clearer and concise overview of our program, which would be more efficient in communicating across the board to all stakeholders and avoid any confusion surrounding what Thrive's aim would be. So furthermore, to add to my rationale for these changes, I drew upon readings from Kotter's 8 Stages of Change, which described the importance and patience when creating change. The original project, I believe, was possibly 5 years ahead of itself, and I believe that the reduction of components within the project allowed us to have more of a steady burn and reduced our possibility of making big mistakes, which we may not have been able to come back from, and minimised any harm that we could have done. Furthermore, drawing on learnings from an article titled Mastering System Changes, I was able to reflect and identify how whilst we were very ambitious and we did have good intentions with all the 3 components we were doing, I do believe that we did lack competency to carry out all 3 components successfully within a 3-year period. So adding to this, research does suggest that those initial phases of your program, especially the development of momentum surrounding that urgency and importance of what you're trying to push within your topic, is critical to get right from the beginning. I do believe that by changing our pitch internally to the McGrath Foundation as opposed to WA Health Department assists us in pushing that urgency because they already know it's there. They've already got the clientele base for it, and it aligns better with their values and beliefs as an organisation as opposed to the WA Health Department. It would be easier to get them on board. So moving forward into part B, I believe my strengths as a leader, which would assist me in running Thrive, would be I feel I have a strong willingness to accept feedback and criticism or constructive criticism in what I do. And feedback from my Spark Plus also highlighted strengths, including my ability to listen to others, being fair and facilitating safe discussions of ideas and challenging one another. I do believe this would assist me in running the project, as I don't feel as though people would be intimidated by me, and regardless of their title or role within the project, people would feel comfortable to put forward ideas to me. And I feel this assists in disempowering myself within a community development program, as I don't tend to pass judgment on other people. Skills that I want to develop to better lead Thrive would definitely be surrounding emotional intelligence. So specifically, I've put down things about impulse control. Upon reflection, I did feel that I was very overly ambitious and undercompetent with my ideas. And going forward, I think it's imperative that I'm consciously aware of how, if I have quick decisions as a leader that aren't thought through, there is the potential to cause harm or just to waste funding. To do this, I want to implement what I call using a second brain, which means waiting and counting 5 to 10 seconds prior to saying things. Just slowing things down a little bit. Another skill that I wanted, so skill number 2 would be active listening and empathy. So whilst my group members did say that I was good at listening at ideas, I do believe that it can go to that deeper next level understanding what people aren't saying. I think being empathetic, especially towards our group of breast cancer survivors and their lived experience, and acknowledging how other people may not have the confidence that I do to speak up, and allowing them that time and just to sit and listen with them and allow them the time and space to come up with their own ideas and put forward things. So to further improve this skill, I want to actively practice staying quiet for a longer period of time. A way in which I can do this is through my work or both my 3-week placement, which is just allowing others the platform to speak up before I go rushing in. Again, it ties in with impulse control and being patient and being aware of how quickly I can respond to things sometimes. So adding to this, I also think using probing questions to draw on other people's ideas instead of making assumptions about what they mean will assist me in developing as a stronger active listener. And the last one that I wanted to improve on is having a better, clear communicational skill. To be more effective when expressing things within the project. So whether this be to our breast cancer survivors or to our stakeholders or other members of the team, to ensure I can actively improve this, I believe it ties in with all of the previous mentioned skills, which include slowing down, being patient, listening and being empathetic, and also just to communicate only the essential information. To monitor this, I will be asking my supervisors on my 3-week placement to watch for this from the beginning, to monitor it and to provide me feedback throughout the placement, to make sure that I am being clear and concise when communicating with people. So drawing upon my learnings from the Graham Vicker Community Development Program and an interview with its founder, Joe Madieth, I learned the importance of maintaining resilience in the development of social change, even when things do get tough, because they are supposed to be tough and they are supposed to be hard. I think we were all very heartbroken that our project didn't score highly, and it beats you down, and I think it's important that you acknowledge that, not just as an individual, but you have to acknowledge it as a group. Reflecting on this, I don't think that I did this. Reflecting on this, I know our group didn't address the conflict very well, and in the future, when things don't go to plan, in order to keep the vision of your project afloat, I think as a leader, I must be proactive in addressing the conflict with those involved to ensure the vision of the project isn't sacrificed and that you're not backpedaling too much. This tied in with theory from emotional intelligence and the ability to not only manage my own emotions, but those of other people. And watching Joe's interview with other social change leaders also highlighted the value of holding hope, which I think, especially for our community of breast cancer survivors, it's incredibly important. And lastly, I wanted to address what I've learned about change. I like change, but I did not acknowledge how others felt towards it and how it can be difficult for others to accept. Jeff Bezos spoke about how people who are right a lot listen a lot, and they also change their mind a lot. Now, I strongly agree that willingness to change is imperative in developing successful community development. But how Graham Vickers was developed, you need buy-in from all stakeholders, and you need to recruit people to be those advocates for change along the way, because you cannot do it individually. Hence why it's community. It will take time, and you need to acknowledge the cultural considerations of those you are working with. Our breast cancer survivors and their willingness to change and discuss topics post-breast cancer is at the core of our project. In order for Thrive to be successful, we need to be able to build up the competency of our breast cancer survivors as social change agents in discussing these topics, as well as areas of our own competencies. Thank you.